The darkness is not my friend here. In the humid jungles of Hyrcania, the night was my cloak. I was a ghost of stripes and shadow, a silent law that governed the forest. But here the darkness smells of rotting oak, salt spray, and the bile of men who do not know how to respect the sea. I remember my last moment of true breath, the morning dew chilling my pores, the scent of a deer miles away. Then, the snap, a sharp, stinging betrayal in my neck. The world tilted, the vibrant greens of my home fading into a dirty, sickly grey. When I woke, the horizon was gone. I was in a box that sways. The motion of a ship is a torture no predator should endure. My claws, forged to tear flesh and scale trees, now scraped desperately against damp Roman timber. I could hear the sailors laughing above. They called me a magnificent specimen. They said the emperor would pay a fortune for this one. To them, I was a treasure. To me, they were merely loud apes who had learned to float. We docked at Ostia. The sound of chains clashing and the screams of 1,000 slaves unloading the world's plunder filled the air. I was hoisted up, and the atmosphere shifted. It was no longer the clean salt of the Mediterranean. It was the stench of a city that never washes, the smell of Rome, the smell of death wrapped in silk. They dragged me through stone streets. The rattle of wagon wheels against Roman pavement was a hammer against my skull. And then the shadows swallowed me again. I entered the hypogeum, the bowels of the Colosseum. Imagine a labyrinth made of cold stone and rusted iron, where the sun never touches the floor. Here, time does not exist. There is only the cycle of pain and hunger. Next to me, the cages are screaming. There is a Numidian lion in the cell across from mine. He has lost his mind. He spends his days slamming his head against the bars until he bleeds. He gave up on being a lion long before he reached this shore. I have not. I hoard my hatred. I feed it as if it were my only cub. The beast trainers walk these halls with torches. They poke me with iron rods heated in the forge. They want to see if I still have fire. They want me to roar so the wealthy visitors can feel a shiver down their spines. One man, with a scar slicing across his face, looks me in the eye. He has no fear. He has something worse: indifference. To him, I am a cog in a machine that will be discarded the moment I break. Food is a ghost. They toss scraps of meat that wouldn't satisfy a house cat. They want my stomach to ache. They want my only thought when that trapdoor opens to be devouring whatever stands in my way. Hunger is a weapon of war in Rome. They turn our nobility into desperation. The day has finally come. The noise above has shifted. It is no longer the sound of construction or cleaning. It is a human roar, 50,000 throats screaming for a miracle. The wooden floorboards above my head vibrate with the rhythmic thud of 10,000 feet. I smell incense mixed with the metallic tang of fresh blood. Someone died up there just moments ago, likely a condemned man thrown to the dogs to whet the crowd's appetite. Now it is my turn. I am forced onto a wooden platform. The gears begin to groan. The Roman pulley system is a marvel of engineering and an instrument of pure terror. I rise. The darkness falls away, a sliver of light, then a square, and finally an explosion of blinding clarity. The Roman sun hits me like a physical blow. The heat of the sand burns my pores. The noise is a wall of sound. The herald screams my name to the heavens. The crowd erupts. To them, I am a monster of legend. To me, they are a faceless mass of white togas and bloodlust. In the center of the arena, he waits for me. A gladiator. He is no novice. He wears scale armor that glitters under the sun. In his right hand, a short sword. In his left, a net weighted with lead. He knows how I fight. He knows that if I spring, he must roll. If he catches me in that net, the game is over. We circle each other. The sand gets in my eyes. I feel the adrenaline flood my system. My muscles coil like steel springs. I forget the hunger. I forget the cage. In that moment, I am the tiger again. I am death. The combat is a blur of motion. I strike, he retreats. His blade slices the air millimeters from my muzzle. I can smell his sweat. He is afraid. The crowd senses it. They love the fear. They want to see who will break first. I lunge. It is not a blind jump. It is calculated. I strike at the side of his shield. He spins, the net flying through the air. I feel the cords brush my back, but I'm faster. My paw, with claws 2 inches long, finds his shoulder. The sound of tearing metal and his scream of agony is the sweetest music I have heard in months, but Rome never lets you truly win. Just as I'm about to finish the work, the trumpets blare. The guards move in with spears and fire to separate me from my prey. The spectacle must be prolonged. They do not want a quick death. They want drama. I am driven back into the shadows. The crowd applauds, not for me, but for the choreography of violence. As I descend back into the earth, I look up one last time. I see the Emperor in his marble box. He's laughing. He thinks he owns the world. But as long as I am alive, as long as there is 1 ounce of instinct in my body, I am the reminder that nature cannot be tamed, only temporarily jailed. One day these walls will crumble. Grass will grow between these stones. The Emperor's name will be forgotten in dust-covered books. But the fear I left in that sand, that fear is eternal. I am the tiger of Rome. And my story does not end with a collar. It ends with a roar that will echo through time, long after the last Roman has turned to dust. Tenho essa cópia preciso de 30 prompts de imagem para narrar ela, e o estilo das imagens the image displays a simplified, minimalist, two-dimensional cartoon aesthetic. The style uses stark, unshaded, solid-colored figures with very basic shapes and features, resembling stick figures or simple icons set against flat rectangular backgrounds. The drawing style is crude yet deliberate, focusing on conveying essential characteristics without detail. The color palette is restricted and muted, featuring light, desaturated tones like beige, gray, and dull reds and yellows, suggesting a historical or informational context. The overall lighting is flat and even, characteristic of digital illustration, with no shadows or highlights. The composition is structured as a grid, suggesting a chart or diagram format, with each figure contained within its own framed box. The rendering quality is clean and digital, prioritizing clarity and information delivery over photorealism or texture.